Hello and welcome to Morning Gym podcast. And today I was just thinking about something going on in the world and this new phenomenon called quiet quitting. I love to watch videos about motivation and kind of creating your own. When I used to be working a job, it was all about having freedom of my schedule, being able to be around the people I wanted to be around. It took me a long time to really understand why I could not stand going to work. And at first it was, I didn't like my job. I went to college, and when you're in college, even when you go to college, you have certain ideas about why you're going to college, and you always think that's part of success. You think, well, I'm here learning all these things so I can get a good job, right? Everything seems to be like the job is your savior. Unfortunately, we're taught this by our family, and by the world, that everything is about a job. And so you think, hey, if I work hard, go to a great school, get good grades, graduate, I want to find a great job. So of course you get out there and you realize right away that, one, the job market is very well. When I was getting out of college, it was like right in 2002. And yes, I think I graduated in 2006. So everything changed in 2006. That's when YouTube actually became available. So YouTube and all these social media sites, Facebook was starting to be on the rise. So in the midst of me graduating from college, everything was changing and I didn't even know it. But I remember feeling like I went to a job in management for a couple years, about 7 years, okay? And the sad thing is, from the moment that I had that job, that day I started, I didn't like the job. I did not like the job, but I was focused on how much I made. And when I started making good money, I wanted to buy a home. And then when I bought a home, I felt trapped. I think when I bought a home, it was the first time I really felt trapped by a job. Because before, and then not only did I buy a home, I had a tenant. I bought a duplex. So I was all of a sudden putting myself in these places of a lot of stress and just trying to aim at success, trying to figure out how to bring in my own money, but still not really understanding the whole system, but just getting pieces of it and trying to put it together. And it really did take me years to really see what was happening with me. But all I knew is I wanted to start planting seeds and also have something of my own. Because like I said, when I started my job in management, I didn't like it from day one. It was extremely challenging. It took me from a college student who was used to reading books and hiding and being introverted to someone who had to confront people and always worry about what they were doing, be creative, just really be an adult, to grow up. And now when I look back at that job, I'm actually very thankful for that experience, because I see what God was planning for me. He was trying to prepare me for my own business, because I was already running someone else's business very efficiently and facing obstacles and putting myself in uncomfortable positions. But at the time, it was extremely difficult for me. Now, the funny thing is, before quiet quitting was even a thing, I was always quiet quitting. From the moment I got that job, I swear and I know it because I wrote in my journal, I said, I hate it. I don't like this job. And I looked at that journal years later and I thought to myself, I never liked this job, yet I stayed. So, it's just really, the quiet quitting thing is a very interesting way to say it, because in many ways I wasn't quiet that I didn't like it there. Over the years, when I really was tired of being there and I had applied to other jobs, and some reason I just wasn't getting these jobs, or maybe they didn't pay a lot, or I started realizing, like, man, why is it so hard to make decent money when you have a college degree? You started slowly seeing how the system was really a scam, and how everything, the way they were teaching you to go about jobs, is not really the way you need to go about jobs today. This is a lot to unpack, so bear with me. For one, you need to really look at college as networking. When you're in college, it's not about your grades. It's not about how you can learn things. It's about networking. If you don't have a network, or you're not part of some of these organizations, or you're not going out into these jobs and doing internships, I promise you, you're going to graduate from college and not know what hit you. In fact, in the day where we live in today, you really don't even need to go to college. And if you're going to college and getting in debt, you better really seriously think about that. I went to college on a full scholarship. Because when I was in high school, I made a determination. I'm too smart to pay for college. I'm not paying for college because I knew there was so many scholarships out there. So most of my high school time, I was researching scholarships, and I had about 4 scholarships by the time I graduated, and I didn't pay for anything. I had to actually give away a scholarship because I graduated salutatorian, and my advisor came to me and said, you have too many, we need to give one away because you have more than enough money. And I was a little bit upset about that because honestly, when I got to college, I still had to pay for my books. So I could have used that money. But anyways, back to the reality of when you get to work. See, a lot of what happens with jobs and what's going on today, it's more important than ever to network when it comes to a job. You can't just walk in these jobs today and think that you're going to just get the job. You have to really network and ask people around you, where do you work? And try to really talk to the people you know, because I know people who apply for jobs and they have taken months, even years. I had a friend that was on unemployment for probably 4 years, and she was at a job before that for 30 years and got laid off after 30 years. I've always had this weird connection with jobs. I never felt they gave me security. I always looked at them as a means to an end, but yet I would put so much into them. And I used to want to quit all the time, but I never would. I remember when I first started realizing that there was something going on where even when I would leave a job I didn't like and go to another job, I still, after about 6 months of the job, was tired of it. And I didn't understand, like, what am I searching for? Why am I never happy? Because it wasn't that the jobs were bad jobs. I always did a great job. I always moved up in companies. I always made friends. And it took me a while to realize what was happening. But really what was the problem was the routine of the job. I had a real problem with having someone tell me every day where I had to be. And it was like a robot, right? And then it was tough for a person like me because I didn't have a lot of work-life balance. When I had a job, it was like I allowed that job to take over my life, and everything else in my life revolved around it. I would sometimes forget to take vacations. I never took my sick time. I didn't even really do things outside of work. Sometimes I went out with friends, but when I look back, a lot of the reason I was really upset is I wasn't taking control of my life. I was letting the job take control. When they gave, especially because when I was in management, I was in retail management. So anybody who knows anything about retail, you a lot of times have a fluctuating schedule. You might have a different schedule every day. That's how it started for me. I might have one day I work 8 to 4, another day I work 10 to 6, another day I work 12 to 9, and that drove me crazy. Okay, so I eventually tried to take control of my schedule. And do overnights. So I went on an overnight shift, which was, in a way, I looked forward to it because I would be the only manager there. I could run my own show, and I didn't have to be bothered with a lot of the stuff you have to be bothered with during the day. And I felt a sense of having control over my schedule because when I would feel like I had the whole day free. Now, and this was another illusion because although I did come home sometimes at 8 a.m., you're exhausted. And I would find myself zoning out or going shopping, and then I would get home and around 11 o'clock in the a.m. I didn't know if I was coming or going, and then I would finally go to sleep at 2, and then I would go back to work at start getting ready for work at 8 or something. So it was crazy. When I look back, I did that for 4 years. And I would tell you now, I would not ever do another overnight shift. I gained weight. I became like, the days were going so fast. But the good thing about it, I really had time to think about what I wanted to do because it was so quiet and I wasn't as busy on the overnight. And sometimes I would be working on stuff, but I really was able to, for the first time, think about and try ideas. Like, for instance, I started a jewelry business. I started a website. I started YouTube. And some reason, because I freed up my time a little bit, I was able to finally hear my own voice. And not only think about the things I wanted, I started implementing them. One of the things that really helped me when I was quiet quitting is I listened to motivational videos a lot. I was a Les Brown, E.T. the hip hop preacher. Okay, those were my first motivational people, and they were great. But I'm gonna talk about something a little later that you have to implement if you want to take it to another level. So I was really obsessed with motivational videos, and they helped me to keep a great attitude. And I was just saving money. I got up to about $15,000, and I was thinking, hey, if I save money, I can quit and give myself time to figure things out. Now, mind you, I still had a house and all that, so I really, for some reason, thought saving was the main thing that was free me, because I was starting to realize that it wasn't another job that was going to do it. I was having so much fun selling jewelry and doing vending and meeting people, throwing parties and connecting with people who I actually really liked. See, that's something I really had a problem with these jobs, is being forced into relationships, forced to see people every day. My personality gets bored with that, even if they're not. And you know, there's some people you look forward to seeing every day, but that was very rare for me, that I looked forward to seeing most of the people. It wasn't that they were bad people, but I'm like the type of person, I'm like, I either really connect with you or it's just shallow. I'm always friendly, I'm very nice, but I get bored with the most simplest things. It got to the point where even when people would see, you would see the same people every day, and just having to walk by them and say hello again was annoying to me, because I'm like, I just saw you yesterday. Like, I don't, why do we have to say, play the game every day? It was just little things like that that would annoy me, and just, I'm shocked that I lasted as long as I did when I look back, now that I'm more aware of who I am and what I need. But anyway, so as I continued to save money, and I had I thought $15,000 I should have made me comfortable, right? And I started noticing that I was still scared to quit. Even when I saved the money, there was something about me that even though I saved the money, I realized I had a deeper issue, because I still wouldn't quit. I would start to, I don't know what I would do. I would just say, oh, next 3 months. Oh, I'll do it this time. Oh, I'll do this. And then but the whole thing of quiet quitting that I want to leave with this message, and I know it's been 10 minutes, but it's okay to quiet quit. It's okay, but I want people to realize that you really do want to be mindful that no matter what journey you take, you're going to have to face some challenges. The best thing when you're trying to quit a job, or maybe you discover you're a person who wants to be an entrepreneur, or you're a person who, really needs a freedom of schedule, you need to honor that. But what you must do is you have to be wise, and you have to really pay attention to the journey that you're going on. And don't think that it's just about sitting around, being in fantasy land, sleeping all day. Because I'm going to tell you something. The good thing about a job is that you can learn amazing skills on that job. And one thing, when I started quiet quitting, and then I would go back to a job, and I started doing my entrepreneur thing, and I would learn great things, but I would realize, wait, my money's funny, or dang, I wish I would have, I don't have enough money, or how am I going to, it would be the smallest things that can completely throw you off. So what I learned is, one, you need to really have a good relationship with money and banks. Credit. For me, the game changer was when I stopped trying to save money, and I started using other people's money, whether it was tenant income, a loan, credit cards, savings, of course, because you want your savings to be your emergency. I don't care how much is in there. You want to have that there for an emergency. When you're on your journey and you actually do finally quit, you got to think about the routine too, because sometimes you don't realize that you're now in control of your schedule, and you may not be the person you think you are. You think you're going to quit your job, start working hard, and start making things happen. Making things happen is not always working hard. Sometimes making things happen is literally just being routine with things, and it can take a year before you manifest something that actually is lucrative. Are you prepared to be working by yourself without a job for over a year before you see some income or something that's sustainable? If you're not prepared for that, you need to get prepared, and you need to prepare yourself for when you quit, because that quiet quitting is only a matter of time before you get out of there. Okay, the quiet quitting, are you ready for an emergency? Now, this is why a lot of people may not agree with this, but I do think debt and loans and other people's money and relationships with banks are a very savvy way to have a security blanket. I think having a savings is the first thing you want to do. Now, if you're having mental issues and you're really down, I mean, it got so bad when I moved to another job, because I did quit, and I lasted probably 6 months, because in my mind, I thought having 5,000, well, the first time when I had 15,000, I didn't quit. I put that money in my house, and then I did the whole cycle again. And I knew I had issues, because I'm like, why did you not quit? You had the money. But I ended up putting it in my home and had a tenant in there. So then I did it again. I went on a couple different jobs, and I started to see a cycle with me. I started realizing, one, I started discovering great skills that I didn't know I had. That's why it's great sometimes to go to different jobs, and sometimes go to a job that challenges you and have the mindset, hey, I'm just trying to learn this skill. Maybe you want to learn management. Maybe you want to learn sales, because when I finally left that job, I actually went into sales. And I didn't know that I was really good in sales. I didn't know that I had a gift of gab. Like, people liked, talking to me, and they would buy from me. And that's something I learned. That's actually the business that helped me discover my jewelry business. Because when I was talking to these people, I was really enjoying it, because it was new people all the time. It was organic. It was like a real relationship. It wasn't something forced. And everybody can't do that. So you don't realize sometimes these natural things you have are gifts that other people may not have, and other people recognize in you, but you don't recognize it in yourself. When I was a manager, I was still nice and friendly and talk to people, but it was different when I was a manager. When I was able to be a salesperson, there was so much room for me to be fun and creative and to be in the moment. And then I started realizing, like, this is how I want to live life. But even though I was enjoying that aspect of the job, I was working a lot of hours and wasn't making as much as I made on my other job. So I was starting to see the bills not really making sense, and I couldn't really save. And then after 6 months, I was ready to go, because I just got bored with the job. All the expectations and always having to perform. I didn't really like that, right? So I ended up going back to my management job, because when I left, they told me, if you ever want to come back, just give me a call. And I'm not one that goes back to things. But one day my sister, she must have noticed I was always busy and wasn't making the same money. And she said to me, didn't you say your manager or boss told you if you ever want to come back, you could come back? Won't you go back? So I never even thought about it. But then I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe my other job wasn't so bad. At least when I came here, I was out when it was time to leave. I made good money. I was able to be an authority and run the show. And one of the things about the sales job, I didn't like that they always wanted me to just stay until the customers were gone. And I'm not like that. When I was a manager, one of the things they taught us was, when you want to be efficient, and to constantly stay late is not efficient. They would always say that. They would say, when you're staying past your time, you're not managing your time right. And that always stuck with me. So when I went to this sales job, and they would just be like letting customers come in and constantly trying to get money and not caring about work-life balance, or I would be out of there. And people would give me an attitude, because I'm like, I'm not staying here. You're the manager. You're the top manager. You stay. I'm not staying here. I'm already working 10, 11 hours a day. They would have us there from 6 a.m. or 7 or whatever to 7 at night. Although it was a lot of fun, it was not worth that to me. And I would get like sneers, because I would be ready to leave. I had a certain time I was staying, and I am not staying later. You can stay. You're the boss. So, I would rub people wrong, but I did so well that it really didn't matter. But anyways, when I left that job after a few months and went back, I had a whole new attitude with my job. I did appreciate it more, but once again, the ghosts of the past come back. See, when you're on the path that's not really for you, it doesn't matter what you do. It's going to never really, you're going to always have that voice come back to you and ask you, what are you doing? Do you like it here? We have work to do. See, the thing is, you have real work to do on your path that's waiting for you. And there's so many things trying to give you clues about who you are. And if you find yourself on a job, the best thing you can do is honor that job, do the best you can. Try your best to keep those connections and look at it like a networking, employment development opportunity. Think about the type of business you want and find jobs that actually can support you. But I would say, if you're truly unhappy in a job, you have to be creative to solve the solution. You can't just say, I'm going to save money, because I promise you, I've done that twice. And no matter how much you save, it's never going to be enough. Now, if you have a business and you're bringing in income, great. That's part of what you want to do when you quit. It's good to have a side hustle. See, when I quit, we didn't have Instacart and different ways you can make money online. Some of the stuff I didn't even know about. If I knew about some of the stuff they have now, the first time I quit, I would have been gone. because you don't need a whole lot. But if you have income coming in, so what now on this journey that I'm on, that I've been free for about 3 years, and God has blessed me tremendously. It wasn't as difficult as my other ones because there was things I was learning when I quit the first time. And the first thing I learned is you don't just depend on the savings. But what I did right, I had tenant income coming in to help me. So I was getting passive income, somewhat passive income, but pretty much passive income that helped me very much get through some storms. But what I would do is have income coming in, but also try to get passive income. Because when you're on this journey, you're still discovering, you're trying to build things, you want time to build. So although you want to be bringing in income, find ways to bring in passive income. Create products. If you can do these products and stuff while you're working, even better. It's not easy though, because I know when I used to try to do two things, work and do all this stuff, I'm not really made for that. There's some people who are hard workers and they can push through some really thick energy. I'm really not like that. I like to flow. I like things to be aligned and to just allow the magic in my life, because the reality is when you stay in environments you're not meant to be in, you make a sacrifice and you will miss opportunities if you're not careful. Because while you're spending all these hours there, you're missing the opportunities that you could have been gaining by putting your energy in the right thing. And now that I'm on this path, I make sure, this is one of my tips for you. No matter what's going on in your life, whether you work a job or if you are free for a while, every day, if you can, put a seed toward what you really want to do. And even if you don't know what you really want to do, it could just be something you enjoy doing. Like if you like doing YouTube videos, start recording and putting videos up, even if it's only once a month. And you could just, this is what I do. I open my phone, put a video in, and I just edit it. I don't have a real timetable. I just try to do it once a month at max. I don't want it to go too far past that. And I open the video up and I edit sometimes before I go to sleep or when I wake up or when I have time. And I love it because it keeps me fresh on my technology skills and learning new things and keeping my eyes open for design. I went to school for graphic and web design. And I had a tough time looking for jobs in that field when I graduated. Like I said, it's about networking. And I love doing that stuff. And I love when I can use that skill set, even if it's just to promote myself, because you never know who's watching you. I actually got an amazing opportunity recently that basically is like passive income, where I get paid money every month just to create. And they're just supporting me because I'm an artist. So that's what I'm saying about, and it took me a year to manifest this, because the work that I did over that year was the same work that they used to analyze me to see if they wanted to give me the money. So although you don't know how the opportunity is going to come, when you leave those jobs and get out of that rat race and the matrix, you are opening up a world of magic. Now your soul can really take in everything and start to radiate. And trust me, there is magic. You will not ever be able to see how God's going to do it. So don't try to. What you need to understand is how you feel and what you want, and honor that. Honor it. Have integrity, because that's what God expects from you. He gave you things. He gave you a voice inside of you that He talks to you. And when you are uncomfortable, that's not something to take lightly. Get real intimate with yourself. Don't try to overtalk and second guess how you feel. If you walk in an environment and it doesn't feel right, honor it. Immediately start figuring out how to get out of it. And if you don't have the money, don't hesitate. While you have a job, that's the perfect time to apply for a loan. That's the perfect time to get credit and build your credit. Pay off your debt. Get out of debt. That's another thing. If you're going to leave this journey, do this journey, get the heck out of debt. Reduce, if you can, reduce as much monthly bills as you can, because unless you have coming out your account every month, the better you start to feel, because you won't even be able to imagine how insecure you will start to feel when everything's on you. You will feel emotions you can't even imagine. But once you go through the path, see, I've been on the path several times. So I started to learn myself. I started to learn how to mold this path so that it actually feels normal to me. And I'm not getting lost in murk. Because it's very easy to be in a murky place where you're wanting to sleep all the time. You have to find ways to protect yourself from those type of things. You start wanting to be in the house all the time. You want to still be doing the things you love. You want to really get clear about why you're doing the journey of leaving. This all ties to quiet quitting, because I believe people who quietly quit, they are just there until they find something better, or until they have the courage to leave or the resources to leave. And that's okay. Okay, it's good to know that this job is optional, because trust me, they look at you as an option. Okay. But anyways, I wanted to just tap in and talk about this because this is something I feel like I've been doing from the moment I've been working. I used to have a job, and I was in the workforce for a very long time. And when I tell you, when I finally left and figured out how to leave and stay out, and what keeps me working and going and really getting in tune with why I did this path so I don't take it for granted, I have no regrets. The only regret is I ain't do it sooner. But I'm thankful for every opportunity, because what I started to do is I started to get on jobs to literally learn skills. Like I started doing interviews more on the job, applying for higher positions just because I wanted to get the confidence. I hated interviews. So there's all kind of blessings within a job. Even when you're there, if you decide to stay, because what I would do is say, oh, I'm good. I would know right away, I'm only here for a year. And I would already be plotting, saving most of my money. Only thing too I would do different is build relationships with banks. When I quit the last time I took a $13,000 loan out. Don't you know God made it so that loan got paid off in 2 years? I don't know how he did it. I thought that loan would be in my life for years, and I really didn't care how long it was going to be in my life. But I would get offers in the mail for a loan, and I started getting creative. I started saying, wait a minute, I have everything this loan is looking for, a job and all that, good credit. If I quit and don't have a job, I can't even access something like this. I don't want to stay at this job another year or two just to save $13,000. I'm going to quit now. So right when I was about to come up on my year, that I started to see these loan offers, and I thought, why not? So not only did God bless me to pay off the loan, I paid off my car. And even the first time I quit, I paid off my car, because I'm a big fan. Get out of debt if you can. Get things that you can pay off and not have it, because I'm telling you, it's nothing better than having your car for years after it's paid off. Okay, you don't even realize how much that $200, $300 amount every month, $400, is killing you and forcing you to stay in that job. That's why you can't figure out how to quit, because you have way too much debt. That's why you see these people today living in vans, living with people, whatever it takes. I wouldn't live in a van, but there's some people who will. But anyways, I feel I shared the most right now. If I was you and I was sitting in a job, quiet quitting, I would first use the advantages of that job, whether it's developing the skill set, getting access to credit and loans. Don't think about credit cards as the first emergency before you touch your savings. Most credit cards will give you $1,000. Can you ask your mom or your friends for that? Think about how a $300 or $500 setback from your vehicle can cause you to have anxiety, stress you out. A credit card is not the perfect thing, but it's better than not having the money. Unfortunately, a lot of us don't have people we can just call for up to $500. Even if you have it in your savings, you may not want to use your savings for that. You're better off using your money in your savings to pay off any monthly bills that you might have to buy you a month or 2 or 3 or 6, because time is everything when you're on this journey, because you're going to have moments of anxiety because you're not used to taking care of yourself and being the one to do everything. So one of the things, if I would look back and give someone advice, I would say, this is what I would say. While you're on a job, buy a house. If you can, buy a duplex. Why? It opens up opportunities for money. And you're better off being in a home and having more control than a rental. Look at the times we're in. All these people who sit on the fence about homes, it's harder to get a home now. And these landlords are coming back from what they went through in that pandemic, and they're charging people crazy amounts. So imagine you're sitting on your journey of freedom and your landlord raises your rent hundreds of dollars. Now you got to find a new apartment, and while you're looking for an apartment, it may be even more. So I would say own a house. Why? Because you got the work history to go get one. When you are on your own, it's harder to look good to a bank. So I would say get a duplex. Either rent the upstairs if you want, or work with a good friend or family member, but they have to be responsible people. Or if you want one family, whatever. Okay, then I would get credit cards. Anywhere you like to shop, get a credit card. If it has cash back, get a credit card. If it gives you 0 APR for a year, get a credit card. If it has cash advances, look at those things. Don't get anything with the monthly fee unless you have horrible credit. Because you know what? There was a time I had to get something with a monthly fee, because after I had such a hard time the first time I quit, my credit had dropped because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was all over the place. But the beautiful thing is I did it, and I learned so much on that journey because I succeeded. But I got my behind whooped. I got kicked into shape because I was stubborn and I wasn't paying attention to what the journey was showing me. I was sitting there just creating but not producing money. You have to be bringing income in somehow. But get you a house, Get you credit cards. Whether you use them or not does not matter, but you have access to them. Save all the stuff coming in the mail, whether it's a credit card offer or a loan offer. I was saving all these loan offers. So if I ever had a bad situation, I would already know who to contact. I wouldn't have to be like, who do I go to? Because they've already contacted me. And like I said, I took out a loan and it got paid back within 2 years, $13,000. That I quit the next day because my whole reason for being there was to save. So when you get strategic, look at what it just saved me. I was in debt with time at that job. I'd rather be in debt with money than my time. I could no longer go years just to save. So God was talking to me, be clever. You have to be creative on this journey. So I took out a loan and I couldn't believe by all the money I was receiving and things coming up in my life. And I wasn't playing. I was throwing it at the debt, throwing the money at the debt. And then it was gone. And now, the car's paid off, the loan's paid off. I have my home. I have equity in my home. Certain things on my home went down. I think my bill went down like $70 on my home for, a reason I don't feel like explaining. But basically, as you get equity on your home, it can reduce your payments. So that was a nice surprise, What else was I going to say? Get a loan, get a house, get a loan, get credit. Even if you don't use the credit cards, have relationships with banks. If you have an emergency, you rather use a credit card than your money. And then it buys you time to pay it back if you have to. You can still pay it back, but it gives you options. You want your savings to be the last thing you touch, because when your savings is gone, ring, 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 you're in desperation now. And that's a very hard place to navigate. And let me tell you something. Whether you're in desperation or not, it doesn't make the universe move faster for you. Things are going to come in its own time. And you want to err on time if you leave your journey, leave your job. Now, don't even look at these jobs as security. I think we have to stop looking at these jobs like they're security. They're not. They can drop you like a bad habit. The great thing about going on your own path is at least you're in the real world. You're in reality. You're figuring things out. You're learning how to move and how to find the right connections and opportunities and organizations, protecting yourself through your relationships and through your time being spent in the right spaces. Because if you have all these relationships at a job and even the customers, once they let you go, you have nothing. So to me, the job is the most riskiest thing you could do. And it puts you to sleep. It makes you think you're secure when you're really not. But I'll be back. Let me know your thoughts.